her lawyers dumb?
The court said no.
Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
Has Blake Lively just destroyed her own career with one reckless courtroom move? Because that's exactly what it looks like. The woman who once seemed untouchable, a Hollywood golden girl with powerful friends and a picture-perfect public image, is suddenly in free fall. Everything unraveled in a single courtroom showdown, where a federal judge slammed her with a devastating ruling that left onlookers wondering if she might ever recover. But here's the real shocker. This is way bigger than just one embarrassing moment. It's a domino effect of bad decisions, leaked recordings, and high-level secrets that Blake and Ryan Reynolds never wanted you to hear. If you thought you knew Blake Lively, think again, because this scandal is rewriting her entire story. The meltdown rumors aren't just internet gossip. According to insiders, Blake had a full-blown freakout in front of the judge when her legal team's psychopathic request got shut down. They had demanded 2.5 years of phone records, texts, even location data on Justin Baldoni, trying to dig up every shred of dirt possible. For a star who claims to be a victim of defamation, it sure looked like she was the one doing all the prying. The judge took one look at that overreaching subpoena and basically said, "You can't be serious." It was a brutal public rebuke, especially when you're used to rolling out red carpets, not being smacked down by federal court. Witnesses say Blake physically tensed up, started whispering furiously to her attorneys, and looked ready to storm right out the door. You might be wondering, how did it come to this? Isn't Blake Lively the all-American actress married to Ryan Reynolds, the charming jokester behind box office hits? Turns out there's a darker side to their power couple status. A leaked audio clip from Ari Emanuel, one of Hollywood's top agents, has exposed just how far Blake and Ryan allegedly went to blacklist Baldoni. According to this explosive recording, never meant to see the light of day, Blake personally demanded Baldoni's firing, and Emanuel went along with it. After all, who wants to cross two of Tinseltown's biggest names? But that so-called private conversation didn't stay private for long. A journalist secretly taped it, and when the bomb dropped, it showed the world that maybe Blake was no victim at all. She appears to have orchestrated an entire smear campaign, then turned around and accused Baldoni of doing the exact same thing to her. What happened next was the courtroom drama that's made headlines everywhere. On March 4th, 2025, the judge didn't just reject Blake's demands. He allowed a live audio feed of the next hearing. That means this fiasco is only going to get more public and more embarrassing. No more hush-hush negotiations behind closed doors. No more carefully curated PR statements to spin the narrative. We're talking about live broadcast audio where the entire world can hear every stutter, every frantic objection, and every eye roll from the judge. It's the moment Blake's carefully constructed brand may crumble in real time, and there's no Hollywood magic to mask the sound of her reputation hitting the floor. And where's Ryan Reynolds in all of this? Apparently nowhere. The man known for his witty Twitter comebacks and viral talk show bits has gone radio silent. He's left Blake alone under the harsh spotlight, while rumors swirl that he's trying to protect his own image. Think about it. For all his jokes and one-liners, the guy knows how show business works. One public misstep can make sponsors run, studios balk, and fans vanish. So while Blake stands there, losing her composure, Ryan's strategy might be to lay low and let her handle the fallout. Some call it cowardly, others say it's just business. Either way, his absence is telling, especially since this entire lawsuit supposedly hinges on both of them. But here's where things get downright surreal. Blake went and hired a former CIA operative to manage her PR crisis. Let that sink in. An actress from a family-friendly Hollywood background has brought in Nick Shapiro, the same guy who once dealt with top-level intelligence matters, to do her public spin. When normal celebrities face backlash, they hire typical PR reps or crisis managers who gently nudge the media narrative. Blake, on the other hand, decided she needed an expert in actual governmental-level deflection and propaganda, someone who can bury a scandal so deep you'd swear it never existed. Talk about overkill. It feels like she's turning a defamation dispute into a full-blown spy thriller. The question is, what is she so desperate to hide? Even more bizarre is the timing of a New York Times hit piece that suddenly slammed Justin Baldoni. The piece went live almost immediately after Shapiro hopped on Blake's team. Coincidence? Unlikely. It's classic crisis management 101. Distract the public by painting your opponent as the real villain. But it's too little. Too late. Everyone already saw the judge's ruling that called Blake's demands overly intrusive and disproportionate. People aren't buying the spin anymore. The leaked audio alone was enough to convince many that Blake and Ryan orchestrated a career takedown, then cried foul when Baldoni dared to fight back. That's not all. Multiple insiders have hinted that A-list celebrities are quietly distancing themselves. Gigi Hadid, Taylor Swift, the entire so-called girl squad. They're all missing in action when it comes to defending Blake. And in Hollywood, silence can speak louder than any statement. If these high-profile pals wanted to show support, they'd have tweeted or posted something by now. Instead, they're staying far away, possibly protecting their own images in case the scandal gets even worse. Blake might have thought her star power would pressure others into lining up behind her, but apparently no one's rushing to get caught in the crossfire. Word on the street is that potential witnesses are too intimidated to testify, fearing they'll be blacklisted by Blake's influential connections if they don't toe the line. That's not exactly the behavior of someone who's just an innocent victim. It looks more like a full-scale intimidation tactic, a tactic that might work in Hollywood conference rooms, but certainly not in federal court. And guess what? The legal trouble is nowhere near over. Baldoni could take this entire fiasco a step further and file a separate defamation suit, possibly dragging even more celebrities, executives, and hush-hush emails into the light. If that happens, you can bet the next wave of court documents will be even more scandalous than the last, because this time, the gloves will be off. Forget about polite behind-the-scenes negotiations. Everyone will be forced to show their cards. If Blake thought she could control the narrative with some flashy PR moves and a CI-level spin doctor, she's going to be sorely disappointed when she finds out that the court of public opinion isn't easily manipulated. That leads us right to the looming question: is this the beginning of Blake Lively's downfall? The meltdown in court, the scathing judge's remarks, the hush-hush attempts to bury key evidence. None of this aligns with the sweet, relatable image she's cultivated for years. Hollywood is fickle. One day, you're on top of the world. The next, no one will touch your projects with a 10-foot pole. No matter how many blockbusters you've been part of, or how beloved your social media presence once was, the industry runs on reputation. And right now, Blake's is in freefall. When the second hearing's live audio feed hits, the entire world will hear just how brutal this legal fiasco has become. The ironic part is that all of this might have been avoided if Blake had handled things more intelligently, or simply not launched such an aggressive crusade against Baldoni in the first place. Her attempt to dig through 2.5 years of his personal life, from text messages to GPS tracking data, backfired spectacularly. Instead of discovering hidden dirt, she just uncovered how desperate and invasive her legal approach really was. And now that's what everyone's talking about, from TMZ to random Twitter users calling this her Hollywood Karen moment. It's a far cry from the carefully controlled brand she once had, and it shows no sign of slowing down. So here we are, staring down the barrel of what could be a career-ending series of revelations. If a judge's public admonishment doesn't stop her, more leaks and humiliations probably will. We haven't even gotten to the potential defamation countersuits that might pop up once the dust settles. And don't forget about that CIA hone strategy. If Blake keeps doubling down, she could be fueling a PR war that nobody wins, except maybe the tabloids, who thrive on fresh scandals. Then there's Ryan Reynolds, suspiciously absent when everything's on fire. Either he's strategizing behind the scenes, or he's realized there's no saving a sinking ship, even if your name is on it. The real question is whether the public will forgive any of this. Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but it also loves to watch a star's spectacular downfall. In the end, it may all boil down to one haunting truth. Blake Lively might have tried so hard to protect her image that she tore it apart herself every time she demanded more control, whether it was blacklisting someone behind the scenes, diving into insane subpoenas, or bringing in CIA-level fixers. She ended up exposing more cracks in her own armor. And once those cracks are visible, there's no going back. The facade breaks, and the audience sees the real person underneath, a powerful celebrity willing to bend the rules, or even break them to get what she wants. Maybe the biggest lesson here is that no amount of Hollywood clout can outsmart a determined judge, a persistent journalist, or a public that's hungry for the truth. Blake thought she could run the show, but now the show is running her. So the next time you see a glitzy press release or carefully orchestrated damage control headline from her camp, remember what actually happened in that courtroom. Remember the meltdown, the leaked audio, and the judge's fierce dismissal of her overblown legal demands. Because no matter how many times they try to spin this, the facts are out in the open. The only question left is, can Blake Lively survive the fallout? Or did she just sign the final note of her own Hollywood swan song? One thing's for sure, everyone's going to be listening for that answer, especially during the next hearing. And this time, there won't be any curtains to hide behind.